Hey everyone, welcome. Get comfortable, and let's get into tonight's Reddit stories. Imagine you're driving your family through heavy holiday traffic, doing everything you can to stay calm and focused. While the person in the passenger seat is gasping, grabbing the dash, and reacting to every brake light like it's a near-death experience. How far would you go to stop the distraction? And would your solution cross the line? Am I the asshole for making my wife ride in the back seat because she couldn't stop distracting me? This happened over the holidays, and my wife is still upset with me about it. Our family went to visit my in-laws for New Year's. It's about a 3 to 4 hour drive, mostly highway, but it takes us through 2 metro areas with pretty heavy traffic. My wife, she's 37, gets really nervous about driving in traffic, so I always drive when we visit her family. She also tends to get car sick on longer drives and needs to sit in the front seat because that helps. She's tried taking Dramamine before, but she had an allergic reaction to it, so she doesn't take it anymore. I love my wife with all my heart, but she is not good at sitting in the passenger seat. She has these huge reactions to any change in traffic, grabbing the handle, putting her hand on the dash, gasping, telling me to watch out, that kind of thing. It's not like I'm some aggressive or risky driver. I've never gotten a speeding ticket, never been in an accident. But if there's a car half a mile ahead of us that taps their brakes, she freaks out and acts like we're about to die. It's incredibly distracting. I've talked to her multiple times about how her reactions actually make it harder for me to concentrate on driving, but she says she can't control herself because she's so nervous in traffic. On the way to her family's place, she sat up front with me, and traffic was pretty bad. There were a lot of slowdowns because of the weather, and in general, it was just slow going. But I've been driving in cold weather my whole life. I know how to control my speed and leave a lot of extra space between me and other cars. I get that you can't control anyone else on the road and the accidents happen, but I do everything I can to keep my car and the people in it safe. The entire drive, my wife was on edge, doing all the things I mentioned. Having someone next to you reacting like that the whole time is really distracting. I brought it up to her multiple times during the drive, and she kept deflecting and blaming my driving instead. When we were getting ready to head home, I told my wife she needed to sit in the back and that our 14-year-old son would sit up front with me. I told her it was either that or she drives us home. She got upset and started giving excuses about her car sickness. I told her to take some NyQuil or something to help her sleep, but she refused and told me I was being a jerk. I told her again that she could drive then, and she refused that too. Eventually, she reluctantly got in the back seat with our 11-year-old daughter. The ride home was much easier traffic-wise, and my wife sat pretty much silent in the back seat the whole time, just pouting. When we got home, she told me she felt sick the entire drive, but didn't say anything because she didn't want to make a big deal out of anything. She said I humiliated her by making her sit in the back, and that I should have been more considerate of her feelings. Top commenters focused on one main point. From their perspective, the wife showed on the return trip that she actually could control her reactions when she wanted to. One popular take suggested OP sit her down and say something like, "Your feelings matter, but you proved on the way home you can control your actions. I'm not asking you to stop feeling nervous. I'm asking you to stop behaviors that make driving unsafe." Many people labeled OP as not the asshole, saying that constant gasping, grabbing, and panicking in the front seat is genuinely dangerous for a driver, especially in heavy traffic. They pointed out the irony that once she was in the back, she suddenly managed to stay quiet the whole way home. Another repeated sentiment was that it was funny, or telling, that her supposedly uncontrollable reactions became controllable as soon as she was moved to the back seat, which commenters saw as proof that having boundaries around her behavior was reasonable. What do you think? Was OP justified in making his wife ride in the back to cut down on the distraction? Or did he cross a line and embarrass her in front of their kids? If you were in this car, driving or riding shotgun, how would you handle it? Let me know your verdict in the comments below. two 11-year-old twins keep getting mixed up at school. And now the school has emailed their mom asking her to make them easy to distinguish, so they don't give the wrong kid the wrong medication. Should a parent have to change how her kids look because the staff can't tell them apart? Would I be the asshole if I told my son's school it is their responsibility to make sure they have the right child? I have twin sons, they're 11, and they're not identical, but they do look pretty similar. Their older sister actually looks a lot like them too. James is taller and his face is a bit more slender. Ben has more freckles and he's noticeably paler. They've got the same eye and hair color, but James has longer hair and his hair is wavier than Ben's. James tends to be very neat and tidy, while Ben is somehow always covered in ink and paint. At school, they wear a uniform, so they're dressed exactly the same. Classes are split by ability, but their scores are close enough that they're in the same groups for everything, even though they have different friendship groups and different hobbies. They both go to chess club, but that's the only club or sport they have in common. And most of the time, they don't really interact much in school and just do their own thing. They have, however, told me that they still sometimes get called the wrong name even though they've been there since September. Both boys have permission to take medication in school because of seasonal allergies and eczema. Antihistamines and eczema cream are stored at school for them to use as and when they need them. They use different medication and different creams, which is just personal preference. One has liquid and one has tablets, and they use different creams because they find different ones work better. I sent in the permission slips and the meds and left it at that. Over the holiday, I got an email about the medication. It said that the instances of the boys being mixed up are not reducing because they look so similar, and the medical officer, secondary schools in the United Kingdom don't have a school nurse, is concerned that the wrong child will be given the wrong medication. Because of that, she's asked me to make sure the boys are easy to distinguish going forward. My initial reaction is absolutely not. It's up to the person giving the medication to make sure they're giving it to the right person, and that can easily be done by asking the child what his name is. They're 11 years old? They're more than capable of giving the right name, and they have zero interest in swapping places to get each other's meds. I do understand the concern about making sure the right medication is given to the right child, but the responsibility for that lies solely with the school while they're in the care of the school, and I'm not going to send them back after the holiday looking in any way easy to distinguish. Would I be the asshole if I told the school it was their responsibility to make sure they have the right child, not mine? Reddit was very clear that the responsibility here lies with the school, not with a parent changing how her kids look. The top comment imagined a very pointed but polite email back to the medical officer. Thank you for your helpful suggestion. As requested, I have made my sons easily distinguishable by assigning them different names 11 years ago. Please feel free to ask each child their name before administering any medication. It is, of course, your responsibility to ensure you know to whom you are giving medication. They also suggested a practical backup. If the boys have any kind of school ID, bus pass, or notebook with their names on it, they could just bring that when they go for their meds. Another commenter said OP would not be in the wrong, but recommended phrasing it in a calm, instructional way instead of just saying no. Something like, the way to tell them apart is to ask their name and they will respond. Please let me know if you need my help any further with this. That way she's clearly explaining the solution without coming off as obstructive, even if the school might still read some sarcasm between the lines. A third highly upvoted comment echoed the same sentiment with a bit of humor. As per your request, I've furnished them each with a unique identifier, their name, which will conveniently correspond with the written markings on the medication. The overall theme from the comments was that the school staff need to verify identity before giving medication, and that's a basic safety procedure they should be following anyway. What do you think? Should a parent ever be expected to make their kids easy to distinguish for the school? Or is it entirely on the staff to confirm who they're treating? If you were this mom, how would you respond to that email? Let me know your thoughts and your verdict in the comments below. A new girl at this tiny private school is having a birthday party, and it's looking like none of her classmates are going to show up. One mom knows this, knows the girl struggles socially, and she's stuck between protecting her own daughter's comfort and possibly saving a very lonely birthday. What would you do if you knew a kid's party might end up completely empty? Would I be the asshole for not making my daughter go to a girl's birthday, even though I know no one is going? I'm really torn on this, and I don't know what I should do. So, Reddit. This year, a girl, I'll call her Amelia, joined my daughter's school. It's a private school, and the classes are really small. Amelia has been a problem this school year. She's very disruptive in class, and we had an incident around Halloween where she was stealing people's food at lunch. My daughter was involved in that, and Amelia did apologize to her. Soon after, we got a school-wide email reminding the kids about personal boundaries and not touching people. I asked my daughter about it, and she said it was because Amelia kept hugging people. This is 5th grade. My daughter is overall not a big fan of her. I've interacted with Amelia before, and I believe she might be on the autism spectrum, though there's no confirmation of that. So here's the main issue. Amelia sent out invitations for her birthday, and my daughter doesn't want to go. I feel like she's old enough to make that kind of decision. The problem is, I've talked to some other parents, my daughter's friends' parents, and their kids aren't going either. The party is next Saturday. It seems like no one is going to Amelia's birthday. I'm torn on whether I should make my daughter go or not. On one hand, she's old enough to decide if she wants to go. On the other hand, it would be kind to Amelia if I made my daughter go. I know my daughter's friends' parents don't want to go at all, so this would basically be forcing my kid to go. I don't know. Edit. The card didn't have an RSVP, and I don't have their number. I could try to get it from the school, or maybe run into them at pickup. Update. I've decided I'm going to respect my daughter's no on this. She already explained why she doesn't want to go, and I'm going to respect that. I'm going to try to run into the parent at pickup today and tell her that we won't be able to attend, and wish them a happy early birthday. The top comment says the mom is not the asshole, and focuses on the daughter's comfort. They say we shouldn't teach girls to ignore their own boundaries, or put themselves in situations that make them uncomfortable just to make other people happy. In their view, forcing her to go would send exactly the wrong message about consent and personal comfort. Another highly upvoted commenter also says the mom isn't wrong, but shares a powerful story from the other side. Their son once had a classmate very similar to Amelia, autistic, very affectionate, and prone to big meltdowns. Even as an adult volunteer, this commenter sometimes found it hard to be around him. They got invited to his birthday party. The son wanted to go, and the daughter asked to come too. When they reached out to the boy's mom said the daughter was welcome. In the end, those two kids were the only classmates who showed up. The boy's mom pulled this commenter aside, started crying, and thanked them, saying they were the only family from school who had ever come to one of his parties. It was heartbreaking. Now that boy is at a new school with kids more like him, but they still go to each other's parties every year. That experience taught the commenter and their kids a lot about empathy. Their takeaway? The OP wouldn't be an asshole for respecting her daughter's no, but sometimes a small act of kindness can mean everything to a child like Amelia. Another commenter adds a more practical angle. If the mom forces her daughter to go, there's a real chance Amelia will latch on to her as her new best friend. In such a tiny class, that could mean Amelia trying to be her constant companion at school. The commenter warns this might backfire badly by pushing the daughter away from her existing friends and making school more stressful for her in the long run. So here, we've got a mom trying to balance empathy for a lonely kid with respect for her own daughter's boundaries. Some people say you never force a child into an uncomfortable social situation, and others say one afternoon of discomfort could spare another kid a really painful memory. What do you think? Should the mom have encouraged her daughter to go for Amelia's sake? Or is standing firm on no means no the right call here? Let me know your verdict in the comments, and if you've ever been in a similar situation, I'd love to hear how you handled it. Imagine being 18, totally stressed out with college applications. You have one embarrassing accident in your sleep, and somehow your parents decide the real problem is that you embarrassed them. Not because of what happened, but because of who you chose to tell. What are you even supposed to do with that? Am I the asshole for not lying about wetting the bed and embarrassing my parents? I made a throwaway, so this can't be traced back to my main account. So I'm an 18-year-old girl, and around Christmas I had this weird week where I was having a lot of nightmares and my sleep was really broken. I think what happened is that when I finally did fall asleep, I was sleeping super deeply because I woke up and I had wet the bed. This is something I used to do when I was little if I was really stressed, and my parents always shamed me for accidents. Even during the day, they acted like me needing the bathroom was some kind of personal inconvenience to them. So whenever it happened back then, I'd set an alarm to wake up early so I could do laundry and clean everything up before they noticed anything. I have a couple of friends I'm really close to, and we were talking about how stressed we all are with college applications. One of my friends admitted her hair is falling out from stress, and then we kind of went around sharing more and more embarrassing things that have happened to us recently, until I finally said, jokingly, "Don't tell anybody, but I think I got stressed enough that I wet the bed." Turns out, one of my friends told her mom because she was worried about me, and her mom is a doctor, which is actually really sweet, but her mom called my mom, and now my parents are really angry at me for embarrassing them by keeping a secret from them. I told them I was embarrassed and I was scared they'd punish me, and they said, "You must not be that afraid because you're telling other people's parents." Except I trust my friends, and honestly, I trust their parents too. My friend's mom didn't yell at me, and when I went to her house, she was really nice to me. Now my parents have told me I'm not allowed to see that friend outside of school until I apologize to her mom for lying. They told me to say I was lying for attention, but I wasn't, and I'm refusing to start lying now. I don't exactly want to broadcast on the internet that I wet the bed because I feel kind of like a baby, but I did, and I think it's my choice who I tell, and also my choice to tell the truth. Am I the asshole? Reddit was very firmly on OP's side, and a lot of people had strong words for the adults in this situation. One top comment said OP is not the asshole and suggested a kind of malicious compliance. They said, "Go ahead and apologize to the friend's mom like your parents demanded, but be completely honest. Tell her that your parents are furious, that they said you embarrassed them, and that they're forcing you to say you lied for attention just so you can see your friend again. Then explain how your parents used to handle your childhood bedwetting with shame and neglect, and how you had to secretly clean everything yourself." That commenter figured the doctor mom would probably stop sharing anything with OP's parents, and might actually step in to help OP with both the stress and the way her parents are treating her. Another highly upvoted comment said OP is not the asshole, and called out all the adults involved. They said the friend can be forgiven for telling her mom out of concern, but they were really disturbed that a medical professional thought it was okay to call OP's parents and share this third-hand information about an 18-year-old's health. From their perspective, that was a big breach of trust and professionalism. A third commenter focused on how OP was treated at home versus by others. They said OP's parents sound awful and that OP is not the asshole. They pointed out the contrast. OP's friends didn't judge her, and the friend's mom never tried to make her feel embarrassed. That, they said, is called grace. In their words, real parents show that kind of grace. They help you wash the sheets, talk about what's going on, and support you through accidents instead of shaming you. They called OP's parents birth givers and said they should be ashamed of how they're acting. In their view, OP has absolutely nothing to apologize for and did nothing wrong by telling the truth about what happened. What do you think? Should OP stand their ground and refuse to lie, even if it means getting punished at home? Or is it worth apologizing just to keep the peace and see their friend again? And how would you feel about the doctor mom calling OP's parents? Is that out of line or understandable concern? Let me know your thoughts and your verdict in the comments below. A sentimental bottle of perfume, a tight-knit recovery friend group, and a bathroom confrontation that blows everything up. When a comfort scent crosses the line into outright theft, where does compassion for someone who's struggling end and basic self-respect begin? Am I the asshole for refusing to forgive a friend for stealing from me even though she's struggling? I'm a 35-year-old woman, I collect perfume, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. Everyone else in this story is in recovery too. My ex-friend, Bethany, she's a 30-year-old woman, also loves perfume. We met in a recovery group and bonded over trading fragrance samples. I own some scents that she really loves but can't afford. Over the years, she's asked if I'd mind decanting a few for her. And because perfume expires and there's only so much you can realistically use, I was happy to fill up travel atomizers for her for free, in all but one case. The exception is Le Labo's The Noir 29. I bought that bottle to celebrate my first 6 months of sobriety, and it's really emotionally tied to that achievement for me. When she asked for a sample of that one, I told her she could get samples for free from Bloomingdale's. But because that particular bottle meant so much to me, I wanted it to last as long as possible. Bethany accused me of gatekeeping and being insecure about anyone else smelling like me. I snapped back that if that were true, I wouldn't have shared every other scent I own with her. Later, she apologized. I accepted it, and things went back to normal. Then I invited her and a few friends over for a movie night. When I walked into my bedroom and smelled TN 29, I immediately suspected Bethany had used it, but I had no proof, so I didn't say anything. Next time we met up, I smelled it on her. I asked if she'd bought a bottle, and she said she got a sample like I'd suggested. Something about how she said it and the look on her face made me sure she was wearing my perfume. I pulled away after that and didn't have her over again until Halloween, when I had all our mutual friends over and couldn't really exclude her without it turning into a whole thing. Halfway through the night, she went to the bathroom and was gone for a long time. When I went to check on her, the TN 29 bottle was missing from my dresser, and I could smell it through the bathroom door. I said I knew she was stealing my perfume again. She claimed she was sick and had sprayed her sample to cover the smell. At that point, our other friends came over to see what was going on. I said I didn't care if she was shitting herself. If she didn't come out immediately, I'd toss her purse in the trash so she could dumpster dive until she smelled just like the garbage friend she was. That finally got her to open the door, and sure enough, there was my bottle emptier than before. When we pressed her, she admitted she'd been filling up an atomizer and dropped it, spilling the perfume, which is why the smell was so strong. She cried and apologized, saying she didn't think it was that big a deal. She was having a hard time and the smell was comforting. She didn't think I'd missed just a little, and so on. Our friends agree that what she did was wrong, but they're fixated on the idea that she's struggling, that trauma and addiction can make people act up, and they say I'm a hypocrite if I don't forgive her. Personally, I think she just wanted my TN 29 because it has sentimental value, and she's using addiction and trauma to manipulate our friends. Am I the asshole? Edit. I really didn't expect this to get as much of a response as it has, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's commented. Even if I haven't replied, I'm reading everything, and it's helped me make some important decisions. First, I'm cutting not just Bethany, but everyone in this friend group out of my life, and I'm looking for a new recovery support group to attend. I feel, and the responses here have confirmed, that Bethany's behavior is manipulative, and that she's been doing what a lot of people who don't want to take accountability for their bad behavior do. twisting recovery and therapy language and concepts to suit her purposes. I, like many addicts, did plenty of toxic stuff when I was at my worst. I hurt people, and some of them will never forgive me. That's extremely painful. I was really sick at the time, and there are days where it feels really unfair. But it's not the responsibility of the people I hurt to swallow their pain to make me feel better. Just like it's not my job to swallow mine to appease Bethany and our friends. I've been putting in the work for over 2 years now, and part of that work is accepting that I was shitty, and people aren't obligated to forgive me. I don't want to be around people whose idea of recovery doesn't acknowledge every part of that equation. I don't want to be around people who are willing to enable each other. Second, I'm 99% sure Bethany has some kind of untreated mental illness on top of her addiction issues, and that's the root of her behavior. She needs help, but that help isn't going to come from me forgiving her and keeping her in my life when she's repeatedly shown no willingness to change. Our friends giving her endless passes for bad behavior also isn't going to help her, and it's not going to help them either. If they're too far under her spell to see that, that's really unfortunate. But I'm not going to drown while trying to force them to put on their own life preservers. Third, with all of that said, addiction is an illness. It's not a moral failing, and it doesn't automatically make you a bad person. The way people talk about addicts and addiction can be pretty disheartening to read, especially as someone in recovery. And I'd ask people to remember that everyone in this story, including Bethany, is still a human being. I don't forgive her for stealing my perfume or for lying or for manipulating our friends and trying to manipulate me. But I do acknowledge that whatever's driving her, she's not behaving like this because she's happy and healthy. I hope at some point she gets the help she needs so she's no longer hurting herself and the people around her. Thanks to everyone who's replied. This has been kind of overwhelming, but your words have helped me a lot. The top commenters are firmly on OP's side here. One highly upvoted comment says the whole point of sobriety is learning to hold yourself accountable for the messed up things you do, not using addiction as a permanent excuse. They point out that OP's sober friends seem more interested in avoiding judgment for their own issues than in real accountability, and that it's perfectly reasonable not to welcome a known thief into your home. Addict or not, a thief is a thief. Another person says this is a clear deal breaker. Bethany has stolen from OP twice, and that alone is enough reason to end the friendship. If the rest of the group wants to enable her, that's their choice. But losing OP's friendship is a very natural consequence of her actions. And a third commenter boils it down to one simple boundary. OP had exactly one rule. Don't touch Le Labo's The Noir 29. OP shared every other perfume, and Bethany knew how special that one was. Instead of respecting it, she went into OP's bathroom, tried to steal it into an atomizer, and ended up spilling it. That commenter points out Bethany was willing to destroy a friendship over a bottle of perfume she could have just bought herself, and calls OP clearly not the asshole. What do you think? Where's the line between compassion for someone in recovery and letting yourself be stolen from and lied to? Should OP have given Bethany another chance, or was cutting her and the whole friend group off the right move? Let me know your verdict in the comments. And if you've ever had a one-boundary situation like this, I'd love to hear how you handled it.